Okay, hello there. I'm Dennis. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm on Arch Linux, and Arch Linux has been provided by He's the Archer with the XFCE desktop. Alright, we're going to talk a little bit about EndeavourOS, and I just had a really hard time. Let me get that out of the way again. I had a really hard time with EndeavourOS. I was kind of excited and wanted to put it on a hard drive, and that never came to fruition. Here's what I did. The first time I went through it, I thought, well, okay, maybe I got a bad download. So I downloaded it again. I did that 3 times with 3 different torrent links from different countries and tried to write the ISO to a USB stick using SUSE Image Writer, GNOME Disk Utility, and Etcher. Etcher said doesn't appear to be a bootable image, and I believe SUSE said the same thing. GNOME Disk Utility didn't care. But anyway, each time I made a download, I would try to burn it and boot up to it, and it would not, there was no bootable image. Finally, I even used the command line. Right now, these processes came right off of their website, by the way. They give you recommendations on what not to do to burn the ISO or what to do to burn the ISO. And here's the DD command that I even tried to use that. And no matter how many times I tried, and I tried a total of about 9 times, burning it onto 2 different USB drives just to make sure that it wasn't the drive itself. Had no success. Finally, I did have success burning an image to a DVD using XFburn. And when I did that, it created a bootable DVD. However, it would not boot into UEFI mode. It would only boot into legacy mode. I said, okay, well, I have a machine, a T3500, that's legacy BIOS only. So I tried to put it on that, and I emphasized try. It actually installed. And then when it went to do the updates and such, that's when the problem started. And finally, when I got through a successful update, I had to update the Arch Linux keyring. Now, I just downloaded that, so why would that keyring be out of? In fact, on their website, they say they do the Arch Linux keyring in the beginning of the installation. So I should not have had to have done that, but for some reason I did. Now, this was on real hardware. It kept giving me a fail. It would fail. The update would fail due to media, pipewire media session and wire plumber being in conflict. No was the default. Went through all that process, removed the pipewire media session, started the update again, etc., etc. I got through the update, finally got a successful update, what I thought was a successful update, and then when I rebooted, it got to the, I don't know what it's called, grub rescue screen. So I just gave up after that many times of trying. That was, like I said, I tried at least 9 different times on 3 different machines. So I knew it wasn't on my side. It couldn't have been. It had to be the ISO in some way. So the second update failed. See the PNG. Do I have that? I don't know which one it is. Should have numbered them. See what that one is. Yeah, this was the beginning of the problems with different packages being in conflict. Do I want to import a GPG key? Let's see what the next one is. Nope. Went the wrong way. There we go. First conflict, GTK3 and GTK3 WX and Wix digits are in conflict. Here was the very first one, I believe, and it says Jack 2 and Pipewire Jack are in conflict. Just shuts off. I mean, that's it. It won't try to update any past that. This was the install log. Can't remember why I brought this in exactly, but I did take a picture because there was something on here that I wanted to point out. Maybe I'll notice it in the rerun and put a comment in here or something. Recheck force. This one had to do with Grub install for i36 platform, which would be BIOS. All right. And I guess that's it. So whatever good the picture did for me. And it ended up failing in 3 of those attempts. When it fails, it asks you, do you want to send in a report? And I clicked yes on at least 3 of those attempts, and it sends I'm assuming it sends off a like an email or something. When you get this is more into actual OS. So let me close this down. I do have it installed. I was able to successfully install it using the offline method only. If I tried the online method, I failed. What I'm gonna do here is this is a fresh one that has set up, but hadn't even been turned on. It's still got the ISO attached. So let's start this one up, and we're in EFI mode. And let's hope we go through the installation and be successful. All right, that looks good. And unfortunately, it fails right at the very end. We should have guest editions once this gets into the live environment. This is a cool screen right here. Unfortunately, it goes by too fast before you can read it. And my recommendation is take a snapshot of it because it's a pretty cool little read. So the installer should be on the desktop. We do have a connection. And go make this a little better. Yep, there we go. All right, start the installer or update mirrors. We're going to update the mirrors first. And I'm going to select Canada and US. And I'm going to leave it at 10 and say OK. One of the beauties of not putting my video in here, my webcam in here, is I can speed through all of this. Don't have to worry about syncing up what I say. So when this gets through, it's going to ask you, do you want to save it to your Etsy Pac-Man mirror list? Of course, the answer should always be yes. And after the install, we can rerun this. So save the Etsy Pacman.d mirror list, yes. All right. Partition manager. Now we'll have the opportunity for Calamaris to do the. So let's start the installer. And the first thing you're going to get is the option to go online or offline. Online method lets you choose your desktop with vanilla theming. Internet connection is required. Offline method gives you an XFCE desktop with EndeavourOS theming. Internet connection is not needed. Now, that's the option I used here to finally get a successful installation. And let's go online. And let's hope that this is a successful. Might as well go in full screen. Right Control F to get me in full screen. Right Control F. Switch. There we go. That way we can see the debugger. Okay. American English, that is correct. And Chicago in the Central Time Zone. Default keyboard, US English. We'll manually partition. Say next. Let's give ourselves a partition table, GUID. Say OK. And now let's create. Whoops, we got to highlight it. Now create. Boot EFI. Okay. Now let's give it a 80 gigs swap partition. Okay. Free space. Create. Divide that closely in half. Give it the mount point of root indicated by slash. Take the flag. Free space. Mount point of slash home. There's not a flag for that. Okay. You could encrypt your drives at that time. So that should be it. Let's see. We manage. Let's see. Edit. Include BFI. All that's cool. Groovy. Click next. All right. So as usual, I'm going to select the XFCE desktop with EndeavourOS theming and XFCE4. Now, one time I unticked this and the second time I didn't, and I think the one that I do have successfully installed, I just left those ticked. Here you can get printing support for a scanner and print, HP, cups, all that stuff. Boomatic, Guten print. All right, let's click next. And let's go change the name to EOS VM. Password. Give it a good, complicated, hard to forget password. We're not going to log in automatically, and then we're going to click next. Okay, so this is what it's going to do. Bust up the hard drive into these 4 partitions, and it's also going to be in America, Chicago time zone in the United States for the keyboard and language. We're going to say now, and the installation is now on the way. So I'm going to get out of full screen there. Let's see, go. Really, this is going to take a minute. So ranking the mirrors, please be patient. The base system is now on the way. Here's the programs that we're going to be installing, which is pretty nice that you can go through those, record it if you want to, so you can see what's actually being installed. This is just the base stuff, I believe. IP tables, that's for firewall. All right, next slide. And I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. And we got the same error. I've received this now a bunch. It's a exit code 127. And what I really like, and I'm going to do this again, this will be actually the 5th time that I'm going to copy that and send it to them. It tells you right here what it's done. Link copied to clipboard, install log posted to https://timberland.com. And that's the way this has gone the whole time. The only way I got it to install was to go offline and then go from there. So I really was excited about being able to. I'm going to remove that, delete all the files. Okay, so let's take a look at EndeavourOS's website here. This is their homepage, EndeavourOS.com. If you click on the download link, well, first of all, you can get all kind of information about it here. Easy to install and easy to use installer. 8 different desktops, including a new one called Worm, and exclusive to EndeavourOS Window Manager. Some of my window manager buddies might like that. So you can see what all is on their page, or what all gets installed, etc. Click on the download and help. You'll get to the latest release, and this is where you'll get your download. And you have an option of getting the straight download or torrent download, and then you got your shaped 512 sums and GPG sig files to verify. This is where I downloaded mine. All right. So after my second failure of creating a bootable USB on their EndeavourOS installation create install media USB key website, it says what not to use: Unibootin, Linux Live USB Creator, Universal USB Installer, and Live USB Creator. The only one I'm familiar with is Unibootin, and I don't even have that installed, so that wasn't the issue. I come on down here and it says creating a live USB from Linux. Here's how you find out what your drive is actually named, SDA or SDB, whatever. And so I did use the command, but that was the last. I did that last, the DD command. Said it recommends SUSE image writer. I tried that, it failed. GNOME disk, I used that, it succeeded, but it failed in the boot. Ventoy, I did not try. Balena Etcher is not recommended, so I didn't use that. At this point, I think I had only used SUSE image writer and what's the other one? Maybe it was Etcher. Etcher told me it had a. Actually, I used OpenSUSE the first 2 times because Etcher reported it was not a bootable image. All right, and this is Windows, so I bypassed all that. And then I did run the command. Let me bring up my notes here. Refer to these. I tried this 3 different downloads. I used torrents for 3 different countries. Then I did 3 direct downloads from 3 different countries. I tried it on Easy Archer, Linux Mint, Fedora, and the DD command. I tried SUSE image writer, GNOME disk utility, but Etcher said there was not a bootable image. And then I did probably the 7th attempt, I did the command line. That failed as well. The only way I had success was to put it on a DVD with using XF burn, and that would boot, but it would only boot into BIOS mode. So I have a T3500 workstation, a Dell, and it's BIOS boot only. I tried it on there and I was able to install it. And once it installed, the updates broke the system. When I finally got it through all the conflicts and got it to actually upgrade, everything looked right. But when I rebooted, I got into I think it's called a grub rescue screen. So that was like my 9th and final attempt. I said, screw this, and moved on. It does come with Firewall D. You have to enable it. And let's go ahead and minimize this. Here's the Firewall D webpage, and I'll make sure this gets in the show notes or its titles, and minimize that. We bring up VirtualBox, and let's take a real quick look at the one that I actually was able to install in a VirtualBox. As you saw in the demo, the first part, the online, failed. Okay, so here's our login screen, and you get your normal stuff up here, being able to suspend, hibernate, or quit, keyboard, clock. So let me sign in here. And I'm going to say this again, I was really excited about using EndeavourOS. I did look at it probably over a year ago now, maybe a year. And I used it. I mean, I showcased it or whatever you call that, but I have never actually used it. And I wanted to put this on my hard drive. Let's start right here in what I would call the systems tray. You got your session menu, your clock, notification, volume, and I put this right here in here, the network monitor, and your Wi-Fi or internet connection, taskbar, this little beauty right here is glances. And you got a shortcut in this tray there, or on the taskbar. Let's see what we're using right now. If I can read this, use 772 megs. Where's that swap? Memory, use 780 megs. But not too bad. But we did just boot up, and then we have a terminal quick launch. And this is Lunar File Manager. This is the web, Firefox. Let's look at the start menu here. Now, what you're going to see is, let me see if I can do this first here. So after I got through all the update and conflicts resolved and was able to move on, so you can see I installed GNOME Disk, GNOME System Monitor, HTOP, NeoFetch, Nomax, Krita, Audacity, and Kdenlive, and Simple Screen Recorder. NeoFetch, those are commands that I've run. Let's run it. Oops. EndeavourOS using the 5.18 kernel. Has 911 packages. That includes what I installed. Let's see. Graphics of this is probably not going to be real. It's using Xorg. It does not have Xwayland. But under audio, you can see it's using Pipewire. No Pulse Audio here, just ALSA and Pipewire. Which, I think that's kind of neat. It seems to work just fine. I don't really care what server I'm using as long as it works. Our favorites, they've put these in here. If I just go here and type in Endeavor, you'll see all the tools. You got a log tool, apps info, quick starter. Those come in with the theming, I think. Let's go back here. Recently used, system monitor, HTOP, Kdenlive, made sure that all opened up and worked. Accessories, on disk I added. So you get what I'm saying is you get a real minimalist type install when you're finished. And I like that. I want to know what I put on my system. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited about trying out EndeavourOS, possibly putting it on a hard drive and seeing what I actually thought. Under system, there's some OS tools right there. Configure EOS updater. Not seeing it, so we don't have an update. And I guess really there's not much else to show. I mean, it's a basic XFCE desktop. You go to their look for other wallpapers. This is the only one that's branded, I guess. And so that's their XFCE. There is hope you can install it and get it to run in a VirtualBox, which was very disappointing. And this is in EFI mode. I gave it 8 gigs of RAM, 2 cores of my processor. There should have been no reason why the online breaks, but it does, and it did. All right, I bet you if I go to install this one and I do that offline, it'll install. Now you will have, or I had headaches after the installation was completely finished because of the updates. Once again, I'm coming to you from the Easy Archer. You running XFCE desktop. And you saw me install this. Very good. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I wish I could say, yay, EndeavourOS, give it a shot. But I was completely unable to give it an honest shot. I wanted to put it on hardware and try it, run it through my little tester thing that I do, you know, make sure it's going to do the things that it says, what it's using for audio or, you know, whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on another video. Peace out. Bye.